I hate when people say that wheelchairs are only for people who need them. Because when they say that, what they mean is wheelchair users are for people who are paralyzed. But not everyone who is a wheelchair user, who uses a wheelchair, who needs a wheelchair, is paralyzed. Because if you're gonna do away with wheelchairs for anyone who has the physical ability to stand for like a couple seconds, I think we should do away with strollers. Because toddlers can stand. They can walk pretty far actually. If you hold their hand, they can get around fine. You know why we use strollers? Because we do need them. We need them. You cannot tell me that we do not need strollers. And we use strollers for kids who are pretty big, right? 4, 5, 6 years old. You're using a stroller because kids get tired. Their muscles are underdeveloped, just haven't gotten the chance to grow yet. And you know what? Some adults need strollers too. And that stroller is a wheelchair. So get the fuck over it. We're not in a mass wheelchair shortage, okay? What is your commitment to making disabled people and fat people suffer all the time? If an accessibility tool makes your life easier, you should fucking use it. Because life sucks, okay? And if it makes a difference between you going outside and not going outside, use the wheelchair and go outside. Because life is so fucking short. And if you really cared about people's health, you would know that going outside is better for your health and well-being than not going outside. And being able to live independently can mean the world's difference to somebody. Because that independence can mean getting to the doctors regularly, or going to the grocery store, or going to be able to pick up your meds. If you actually cared about people's health, you would stop discrediting that.
All right, guys, so we have to talk about this TikTok that I stumbled across from this self-proclaimed plus-size activist, okay? And as a plus-size activist, this individual is advocating for wheelchairs for people who are fat, okay? These are her words, not my words, okay? She's not using a politically correct term, so I probably shouldn't have to do it, okay? She's basically saying that if you are plus size, if you're fat, okay, you should be entitled to a wheelchair because you are fat. Okay, this is what she's saying. And I believe that she's saying this regardless of whether or not the plus size person, the fat individual, can actually walk. Okay, just regardless, if you're fat, then you should be entitled to some sort of assistance. And she argues with people back and forth over the internet over this, and I want to talk about it. So before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, BioTrust. Excess belly fat has been deemed the most dangerous type of fat because it is linked to so many different health issues. Interestingly enough, apple body shapes or large waistlines put you at a much higher risk than other body types. This is essentially because excess body fat grows deep in the abdominal cavity, and this puts pressure on your body's most vital organs. This is a big reason why myself, and so many other people are turning to this amazing new substance, Belly Trim by BioTrust, which is thoughtfully formulated with science-backed ingredients provided by Mother Earth that promote reduced fat storage, help to speed up the breakdown of fat, support weight management, reduce cravings, and boost metabolism. Simply take a serving each morning and in the evening to give your body the nutrients that it needs to supercharge your weight loss efforts. The best part I love is that you can get 51% off for the rest of the month or until they sell out, whichever comes first. Plus, you'll receive several additional gifts valued at over $500 with every order for a limited time, including free shipping, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, and 2 free new ebooks titled Top 10 Foods That Burn Belly Fat and Top 8 Exercises to Reduce Belly Fat at no additional cost to you. Go to trimwithpatriot.com, that's trimwithpatriot.com, or click the link down in the description below before this once-in-a-lifetime deal sells out.
The problem here is that of the people who say, oh, wheelchairs are only for people with real disabilities, fat people should just walk. There's two groups that say that kind of thing. So the first group believes that fat people who are using a wheelchair or a scooter don't actually need it at all. They believe that if you are a fat person in a wheelchair or a scooter, you are not using it because you are having any sort of physical pain. What you're using it for is because you are tired, you're maybe out of breath, you get winded when you walk, not to the extent of any sort of like disability, and that there's nothing like preventing you from walking other than feeling fatigued because you're carrying more weight. Specifically just because you're carrying more weight, not because of another disability that causes fatigue. And I do just want to point out that feeling fatigue is a justifiable and fair reason to have to use a mobility aid. Whether or not you know why you're feeling the fatigue, whether or not you have a diagnosed disability. The second group of people are a little bit different because I think that they know that if you are a fat person using a wheelchair, it is because you are in some sort of pain. That being said, they believe that the pain is deserved because without the weight of your fat body, you would no longer be in pain. They don't understand that pain as coming from some sort of injury. And I think that they believe that every single fat person who like weighs a certain amount in their mind has the same type of physical pain. They believe that if you work through the physical pain that you're in and just like work harder or diet better or whatever they're thinking, that the pain would go away, again, because it's not based in an injury or like other sort of undiagnosed or diagnosed disability. But you don't get out if you do have a diagnosed disability, because then they'll say that that disability, the symptoms are worsened because of your weight. And so you still should just walk.
All right, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Now, maybe that was tough to get through, right? Because that individual was making a whole lot of points that, in my opinion, really didn't make too much sense. But let's kind of break down the argument that the individual was making, okay? In the first video I showed you guys, this individual basically argued that fat people and disabled people should be entitled to wheelchairs. Now, I halfway agree with her. I do think that disabled people should, generally speaking, get access to some sort of mobile assistance. Like, for example, at an airport or, you know, at some other public facility. Yeah, I definitely think people who are disabled, especially those who literally can't walk or that are elderly, okay, I think, yeah, definitely they should be entitled to a wheelchair. However, I think that if you are obese, then here's the thing. I mean, there are some obesity related conditions that you get that could keep you from walking, okay? That could affect your ability to walk. But generally speaking, I don't think we should have a society where just because you are a plus size person or an obese individual that you should just be entitled to a wheelchair. I actually think, you know, we should be promoting that people who are bigger should actually walk. I mean, they should walk, okay? Because most likely, if you have some sort of condition, some type of disability as a plus size individual, an obese individual, most likely it's due to the obesity, or at the very least, the obesity is contributing to it. So yeah, in that situation, I do think that the best thing would be to encourage that person to work their way out of the condition, right? To actually move more, burn more calories, eat better, okay, in order to get yourself out of a condition that doesn't allow you to move as easily as you should be able to. But again, in order for you to get to the point where you're so big, you develop some type of medical condition, again, that is a product of lifestyle and the choices that you made, okay? And I don't think that society should be forced to accommodate somebody because they made bad choices. I personally think we should be incentivizing these individuals to do what they need to do, even if it's tough, to lose weight, okay, so that they can be healthier and they can live longer, okay? So again, if you're getting pushed around in a wheelchair everywhere and you're demanding that and we're forced to accommodate you, then how are you supposed to help yourself? Okay, how are you supposed to overcome your condition if you aren't doing the things that you need to do in order to overcome your condition? Okay, it doesn't really make sense. I don't want individuals who happen to be obese to be reliant on the system, okay, or to be accommodated at all times because they're obese, when again, the obesity is a result most likely of lifestyle choices. Okay, it is something that can be changed. And when you try to make it easier for people who are making these decisions that have these negative effects, what happens is that you're just encouraging them, right? You're not really trying to discourage them from making these bad choices by making their lives easier as a result of the bad choices that they made. Again, it's the same type of argument that, you know, we've made in regards to the welfare system in general. Okay, like if you are paying people to sit at home and not to work, then they're not going to work, right? They're not going to be incentivized to work if they get paid not to work, right? It's the same thing here, right? People who have a tendency to overeat are not going to be disincentivized from overeating if you tell them that, hey, well, we're going to accommodate you and we're going to make your life easier because you decided to overeat to the point where you have a hard time getting from place to place. Again, what is discouraging them from overeating, right? And getting that big in the first place? Now, if you say, look, if you overeat and your life is going to be harder, like we're not going to accommodate you as a society that, hey, you know, you might have to pay for 2 plane tickets, okay? Or that you might not be able to sit in this seat, okay? Or, you know, you might have a harder time, you know, doing this or that. And it's, again, not because somebody's purposely trying to discriminate against you. It's just simply because, you know, you've gotten so big that you're bigger than the normal person. Then, you know, hey, maybe that will incentivize the person not to get much bigger than the average person, right? I'm just saying, I don't like this movement or this culture that we're building where we're trying to encourage or excuse bad behaviors. It doesn't make sense because this does have a cost on society. It is a strain on our social safety net and our resources when we do this. And one of the biggest problems, I think, with our healthcare system, for as much as the left wants to complain about it, the reason why a lot of things cost as much as they do is because we have an epidemic in this country of people being overweight and obese, which costs more, right? It just does, right? Obesity costs the U.S. healthcare system $147 billion a year, okay, according to the CDC. Now, when it comes to private insurance for a large employer, an obesity or overweight diagnosis had an average of $12,588 in total annual health costs, which is more than double the $4,699 in health spending for those with no obesity or overweight diagnosis in their health insurance claims for that year. So basically, again, not only does it cost more overall for the healthcare system in general, when it comes to obesity, it costs, again, $147 million. But again, if you are an employer, it literally costs you more to have an employee that is overweight or obese when it comes to health costs. And the reason why is because you're more likely to have health conditions because of your obesity. And we can't sit here and try to act like that doesn't exist, because that is what some of these influencers are essentially peddling, which is that, well, I have this condition not because of the choices that I made. It's just because I had the condition, and I just happen to also be obese as well too. When again, we got to be honest about the situation. That most likely you're experiencing your health condition because you are overweight. That's just the reality of the situation. And I think one of the biggest problems, again, with our healthcare system is that we focus more on treatment and not on cures or prevention. More so, we need to be focused on prevention, right? I don't understand why doctors aren't really trained in nutrition when they're in medical school as much as they're trained on other things, right? I think, generally speaking, if doctors focus more on nutrition and, exercise, and they were more like, again, dietitians or personal trainers, honestly, I think that would go a long way towards helping people live healthier lives in general, right? When you go to the doctor, instead of them giving you some pill or trying to prescribe you something for your condition, they just say, look, diet and exercise, proper supplementation, drink more water, move around more. Like, this is what should happen, okay? And you will see the cost of healthcare come down if our society was healthier. I mean, one of the reasons why, Europe and some of these other countries can have socialized medicine, not that I necessarily think that it's a good thing, but again, one of the reasons why it's more affordable is because they don't have a bunch of obese people walking around, right? They're people that generally are in better shape, right? In regards to not carrying around so much extra weight. So again, no, we should not be just giving people wheelchairs because they're obese. We should actually be encouraging people to walk around, okay, and to exercise and to have a good diet and encouraging good behaviors so that society as a whole can benefit, right? That's kind of how I feel about it. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.